republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Aaron Adcock,
Here.
Michelle Watkins. Here. Gordon McCormick.
Here.
Travis Dunlap.
Present.
Roseanne Bozak. Here. Bernie Popra.
Here.
And Jeremy McCarthy.
Here. Approval of minutes, August 4th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, Maddie.
Bernie Popra.
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak. Yes. Travis Dunlap.
Yes.
Michelle Watkins. Yes. Gordon McCormick.
Yes.
Aaron Adcock.
Yes.
Jeremy McCarthy.
Yes.
And real quick, who was the second? I'm sorry. Gordon. Okay. Thank you.
Communication bills and expenditures. Was anything passed along to you, Maddie, or no?
No.
For officers, committee, and staff. Joe, anything?
Just says the noise ordinance.
Okay. No? Outstanding. Old business, new business. I don't have a bond spreadsheet.
I don't think it's been updated yet.
Okay. I know that there was some communication between me and Jill on that some stuff had been sent to our clerk treasurer, and I believe that's getting close to being actually on track. On here, you'll see the town noise ordinance is the next thing. Joe and I had started to work on kind of reviewing it and seeing what we can do. I don't know how familiar any of you are with it, but putting it on here was the idea of we need to figure out a method to make it functional. Currently, there's no way for us to test any complaints. It's broken down by octave bands. Am I speaking correctly here?
It's the hertz at so many hertz, so many decibels. So it makes it really difficult to make it from a point of enforcement. To have the equipment to do that is very costly. So several other cities and towns' noise ordinances that I've read through don't list that. They list a decibel level. Even Indianapolis is very specific per incident what they'll permit, and then they put a time frame around it more so than an allowed decibel level. And I know different places are set up differently, but Jeremy and I had talked about areas that like are around the mill or factories, the highways. There would maybe need to be something like a 3 decibel buffer zone there, because the noise is going to fluctuate and be louder in those places because those places have to operate in businesses. The noise is going to be louder in those areas.
Yeah, like specifically like subdivision where Roseanne is, with having the interstate behind there, holding a resident to a noise ordinance level the same as somebody who does not buy anything. I don't know how we do that, and I think that's where my thought is, if anyone has any great ideas, because the way Burns Harbor set up, they're
Some of the noise is ridiculous, okay? And I know I've talked about this a lot of times. We have this ridiculous sign on the highway here about no engine brakes on the trucks. Completely unenforceable, period.
or some of them are automated with some of the trucks.
Absolutely, absolutely. But they have mufflers on their trucks, okay? The ones that are problems have no mufflers and 8-inch exhaust pipes. And there's never, ever a ticket written for being so loud. They come down that hill and it's nothing but engine brakes
Okay.
the whole way.
How would you like us to test that?
When I drove my vehicle with a muffler, when I get a ticket.
Well, that's nowhere in proper muffler. I mean, it's a little bit different for a motor vehicle or getting into commercial motor vehicles.
So
The statutes are completely different.
So we can't write a ticket to a commercial vehicle for excessive loud exhaust.
I mean, honestly, we would be calling out DOT. That's who we'd be calling out. Whether or not they're available at that time is a whole other question.
So So it's unenforceable. So our signs and the money we spent on our signs and the ordinance for the engine brakes was
Did,
unlimited.
okay. I mean, I'm looking at this as a town-wide, but if we just wanna talk about
I know.
semis and what you're having here on State Road 149, my concern is that we've had complaints from what used to be
Right.
magnetics. How we deal with that, because flat out, we can't test it. And then I guess my question is, even if we go to just a flat decibel rating, how do we come up with the right number? Because this town has so much ambient noise in certain areas that if you shut the factory down, they may be in violation. So that's my question is, how do we do that?
So I guess what's the origination of the interest in the capability of testing to,
Years ago, when this came up, it takes special equipment. If police officers now, they have to be trained every year. I shouldn't say every year, I'm sure there's training involved. You gotta have the equipment certified all the time to make sure it's reading properly. The weather has a lot to do with it. There's just so many different things that affect that noise and how it travels.
Didn't somebody recently about a complaint on that with PBS?
Yes.
There's been.
There was no way to test there, there's
Right.
always complaints on that, so maybe that's kind of the basis for the conversation.
or is it residential or is it transportation?
It's residential, it's been residential, people complaining about PBS.
Okay. That's the only.
Correct, that's the
Recent,
only,
yes.
that's the only, like, noise ordinance complaint that we've received.
And they
Is
have
PBS
noise-
and we've had Lindy, there's been complaints from Lindy. I think some of that has been addressed. I don't know that we have ongoing complaints about
I
Lindy.
haven't heard.
But we had, I'm just saying from, in the past, I remember receiving those complaints from residents in the village. But at the same time, like, we get those complaints, how do we find out if they're in compliance or not? Because we
They
can
have
say, oh,
permits.
that's loud and obnoxious, but currently the way it's set up in the noise ordinance, I don't know the way to test it, so if they're in violation or not.
So there are outfits that specialize in just that, if it's for industrial purposes, and they have permits through the state for that, they should.
Right, and the issue we have, at least in these cases, are like, so if every time somebody calls that in, what was the quote that you got to have them come out?
$7,000.
$7,000 for us to investigate a noise complaint. How do we do that here? Like, that's why we're trying to figure out, like, hey, if there's a better solution, fantastic, but I'm just simply stating, like, I feel like Joe and I, like, we looked into it and we have a couple ideas, but at the same time, there's 7 of us on this board. And potentially if people want to look into some stuff and bring some stuff that is, hey, this sounds great, fantastic. There's a lot of sections, I think, when it comes to the noise ordinance. I think when it comes to residential, as far as TVs, radios, things like that, the noise ordinance is solid there. It doesn't require the octave band testing. It's unreasonable per hours a day and things like that, and all of that is intact and it's okay right now. But specifically this stuff, and then I guess how we outline it, it can't just be by district, because it's we have so many districts that border each other. How do we
So
determine all that?
that's a continuous noise down there.
Correct.
Continuous. I know it's the fans, whatever it is, roaring all the time, making a noise.
Where's that at? PBS?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what,
And
It was like 3 times as loud when they started it up. I mean, it was really, that's why we did a noise ordinance to begin with, because it was so loud you couldn't, I mean, sitting in your house, and I'm pretty far away from it, you just sit there and hear it roaring all the time. And they have done some stuff, but I don't, and you gotta figure out what is loud to one person might be not as loud to another person.
It's weird to not be at home and not hear 94. Like that's just like a common, like from where I live, that's just a common
Yeah.
noise. So when I'm like, go stay somewhere overnight and I don't have that noise, it's weird. I've also lived that close to 94 like since I was a kid, so it's a normal sound to me. I mean, aside from like the racing crotch rockets that you hear every
Yeah.
so often that go down there, it's it's just background noise there, but it's not like a high pitched squeal.
And I agree, but I mean, I'm also, I guess easygoing when it comes to a lot of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not a house that backs up to PBS
Right.
that has this ongoing that is driving them crazy if that's the case. But obviously, if there's an option and there's a way for us to do it, I just don't know. And I honestly, I don't even know where we come up with the numbers of what is acceptable and not acceptable. Because, I mean, yes, we can, if we go to just a decibel number, and I know it'd have to be different in zones and things like that, but short of testing all over town to see what the current numbers on, I think that might be a starting point if we did decide to go that route, because it's going to be different, whatever is existing up there at, let's say, the mobile home park on Route 12, right across from the steel mill, compared to anywhere else in town. Or backing up to PVS or whatever the case is. I mean, flat out, there just can't be a solid number that we just apply all across town, because I think you could just sit there and be like, well, how do we determine who's contributing to that noise?
It's not a simple issue to address.
Exactly.
It's almost
And that's why if,
I'm not saying impossible, is economically, I feel unfeasible. Just the equipment, the training, all the officers, they're going to be called out for this noise. And
well, if it's, honestly, if it's as far as operation of a business, that's not a police thing for a noise ordinance. That's a building department thing. So the reality is, that's great that we have an ordinance in place, but we can't, it's not feasible to test it financially. And then we're the ones that are receiving the complaints, and we have nothing that we can do. So what I'm getting at is the conversation, this is basically the starting of the conversation, is what, exploring the possibilities. Because if there is none, then, I mean, what do you want us to start telling residents? Like, sorry, I mean, don't expect anything from us because we can't do anything. I mean,
Once we
that's what I'm getting at.
Right, and I understand all the obstacles there, but once we do, or if we do come to a number, like as far as like the fines for being over that, as part of, when we're getting to that point to figure out what that would be, if it's loud enough that we feel we need to pay $7,000 to have somebody come out, then that fine needs to cover that amount.
So what happens when they come out and they test and it doesn't exceed the numbers?
Right.
So I mean,
That's
then
the
you're gonna look
problem, is
at
it
Joe
coming
and
up-
me and
coming up
say,
with
that was
those
dumb, you
numbers.
guys shouldn't have had that done, and it just cost the town $7,000. I mean, that's where our struggles are.
Right.
But at the same time, all these complaints keep coming in, and we're stuck in a spot where we can't do anything about it.
But if it comes to that, I mean, once we get to the point where we can figure out what that decibel level is, even if it's one time that we have to, that we have to have it tested, so then we've had it tested, and they don't exceed, like I know that it's loud and we understand that, and then if we set it up the right way, when we test it, if they are above that, then their fine should include covering the cost of testing.
Well, I think the idea is if it went to just decibel readings as far as and excluding it in specific octave bands, how it currently is, if it just went to decibel readings, then we can afford to purchase the equipment to test ourselves. I mean, that would be, to buy a couple of those meters would be extensively less than what one round of testing would be. I mean, we're talking about a few $100s per instrument as opposed to $7,000 to have it tested one time.
And if we did the testing equipment ourselves, that's over $8,000. And every year it has to be calibrated.
Right.
That's the way our ordinance is written right now. That's what we need.
All I'm getting at is if people want to spend a little time looking at or have any suggestions to bring back.
Maybe we could compare some cities and towns' noise ordinances and look at what decibel levels they're calling out.
Right.
So, and I think we have language in there currently that specifies that like within 50 foot of the boundary line, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Based on in excess of X amount of dBA over. I would
Within an octave band, though.
I would caution of completely avoiding the octave band thing, because not to bring up a sore subject, but about a year ago, that topic, that is like a prime example. Kokomo, I know, for example, has dealt with that in the past, of things like phantoms and just resonant frequencies.
Right.
That tend to hurt. And so it can be an issue that is known and exists.
I would suggest reaching out to the Association of Indiana Municipalities, which I know the town is still a reduced paying member of. Every community, big and small, has to deal with this issue. And so see what the best practices are, what the levels are, what the fines are. We're going to have an infinite number of examples to go from other Indiana cities and towns.
And then some of the other towns, do building commissioners do the testing, or do they kind of bring in those outside companies? I don't know, do you talk to other commissioners from?
Larger municipalities can afford to have testing done, and have sound engineers come do it. But some of the smaller ones, it's the building commissioner or building department and police department.
Just something I wanted to bring up. I mean, it's too complex, in my mind, it's too complex of an issue for me and Joe just to spend a couple hours on and say, oh, we got it solved. Like, so here we are.
I don't think there's a realistic solution, unfortunately.
Well, I'll
It's
take,
so differently. You can be 55th on the property line of PBS or what's called, and probably not hear anything, but get to your house, you might hear a lot more.
well, right, and then it's how do we isolate the origin of the noise?
Exactly.
Because if you're simply, like, that's my caveat with just doing decibel, is because
I guess
that decibel is coming
what
from
causes the
multiple
noise down
sources.
there? Is it electric motors that run the fans? Is it fans? Is it, what?
I think when we're talking about that facility, I think we're talking about a fan on an exhaust system on a tower of some sort. But at the same time,
I'm a lot closer to it, and it seems to be the direction of the wind. Occasionally you hear it, sometimes you can't. And others houses are, and if phase 3 goes in, it'll be way closer.
like, I've heard it before, but at the same time, like, I have to sit up and really try, but I'm probably far enough away, and now I got houses built in between that doesn't bother me. But my issue is, as these complaints come in and we have no source or means to address it, like, we're stuck in between, like, hey, what's going on with my complaint? What do you want me to say? So, I have no problem. I'll reach out to AIM and see what they have to say and bring that back to the board. If I get anything substantive, I'll send it out via email. That way everybody can take a look at it. That's all I got. Anything else you want to add, Joe, or are you good?
I think that covers it. It's just from a point of enforcement where Jen said we're stuck.
It's not on here. can you update me on where the Taco Bell?
Yeah, they were issued their occupancy and they will be opening officially at 10 o'clock, October 10th.
Jeremy's gonna be first on line.
No, he'll be second, I'll be first.
Outstanding. Good to the order, any other business?
I did stop and talk to Tom again. He said he is gonna pay. That's all I can do. I can look
Okay.
him straight in the eye and he said, I am paying this year. That's where we're at.
This year?
This fall.
This month?
2025? This year, or within the year.
Hey, if he's able
He
to
was
get it
gonna
done,
try
then
to do it this fall.
God bless him, but I mean, my expectation would probably be spring or summer, but hey,
Yeah,
he knows people too, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is all the green
That-
paint
that's just
from
it.
Frontier coming through, or is that something he's doing? Just back in phase
but
two?
I could just look him in the eye and ask him, are you gonna pay it? He said yes.
Green is probably sanitation.
And he was
Yeah,
talking
that
about
makes-
sometime,
That's
like, well, we better get on the ball, cause
I know
it'll
for
be
sure.
closing
I
down.
think it is.
I think it's just,
I'm looking-
cause they,
If you looked at the Wyoming football game the other
Gridlock
night,
did mine today during the day.
Saturday, they were shoveling snow off the field up there.
Oh boy.
Keep it
A lot of
low.
company already.
Alright,
Yeah.
not ready for
To
that.
mark the lines out, they were, some of them had 6-8 inches of snow.
Well, outstanding. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second. Any discussion? Roll call, man.
Roseanne Bozak,
Yes.
Travis Dunlap,
Yes.
Michelle Watkins,
Yes.
Gordon McCormick,
Yes.
Aaron Ashcraft,
Yes.
Bernie Popper,
Yes.
Jeremy McCarr.
Yes.